You know that feeling you get when someone's telling you one thing, but your gut is screaming something else entirely? Well, that's because there's a whole other conversation happening, a silent one. It's the language of the body. And honestly, it's usually telling the truer story. So today, we're going to learn how to decode it.
And believe me, it's a language you really want to learn. Because get this, a whopping 55% of all our communication is nonverbal. That's right, more than half of what you're saying in any conversation has nothing to do with your words. It's all in your posture, your gestures, and your expressions. And what's wild is just how clueless we are about our own signals. There was this amazing experiment where they put a disguised mirror in a hotel lobby. It just looked like an open hallway. As people walked in, they'd see someone else, or so they thought, walking toward them, but with their face kind of obscured. When they asked the men later, 85% of them had no idea they were looking at themselves. Think about that for a second. If we can't even recognize our own bodies in a reflection, how can we possibly be in conscious control of the signals we're sending out?
And that's really what this is all about. It's about taking that unconscious signaling and making it conscious. We're about to pull back the curtain on this whole unseen conversation. Because at its heart, nonverbal communication is our original language. You know, before we had words and grammar, we had this. It's the raw, unfiltered data stream of what we're actually thinking and feeling, the stuff that our words often try to pretty up or hide completely. So, the most obvious place to start is right here, the face. It's basically our emotional billboard. We're going to zoom in on two of its most powerful signals, the smile and the gaze. Okay, so not all smiles are created equal. You've got the real deal, a genuine, happy smile. And then you've got the polite, social smile. The difference? It's all in the eyes. A real smile doesn't just pull up the corners of your mouth. It engages the muscles around your eyes, giving you those little crow's feet. A fake smile is just the mouth. So here's the key. If you want to know if a smile is real, don't look at the lips. Look at the eyes. They tell the truth. Now, here is something interesting the research shows. Women smile way more than men do. But it's not always about being happy. A lot of the time, it's what's called a badge of appeasement. It's basically a conditioned social tool used to make things comfortable, to show you're not a threat, and, well, to meet that expectation to just be nice. And this leads to a pretty big double standard, doesn't it? When we see a woman with a neutral face, the automatic assumption is often, oh, she must be upset or sad. But a man with that exact same expression, we just think he looks serious or even dominant. It's a perfect example of how our own biases can cause some serious miscommunication. All right, let's move down from the face to the rest of the body, because here's the golden rule, and you should probably write this down. When someone's words say one thing, but their body says another, you always trust the body. And this photo is such a powerful example of that. You see Hitler's right arm out, making this aggressive, dominant gesture. But then, look at his left hand. It's pulled across his body, instinctively trying to guard his torso. It's a textbook self-protective move. So while his words and one arm are projecting power, the rest of his body is revealing this deep inner conflict and insecurity. Our bodies also give us away when we just want to get out of a situation. You know that feeling when you're just done with a conversation or a meeting? Well, long before you actually say, I gotta go, your brain starts planning the escape, and your body starts to follow its lead. So here's what you look for. Think of it as the body's escape plan. Are their feet pointing at the door even if their body is turned towards you? Is a foot tapping away? Or are they constantly looking past you, scanning the room? These aren't just random fidgets. They're dead giveaways that a person's brain has already checked out and is looking for the nearest exit. Okay, so it's not just about the gestures our bodies make. It's also about the space they take up. The way we use touch and our personal territory, that's a constant, subtle dance of power and connection that plays out everywhere. Think of it like this. We all have an invisible air bubble around us, our personal space, and the size of that bubble is totally determined by our culture. What feels normal and friendly in one country might feel aggressive and way too close in another. So when someone pops that bubble, it triggers this primal response in our brain that can instantly change the whole vibe. And we often see that men tend to claim more physical space than women. They'll sit with their legs wider apart, man-spreading. A very clear, if blunt example of this is what researchers literally call the crotch display. It's a posture that's all about signaling masculinity, dominance, and basically broadcasting, this is my territory. And touch itself often has different meanings.
For women, it's frequently used to connect, a hand on the arm to show empathy or build a bond. Now, men use touch for connection too, of course, but it can also be a tool to establish hierarchy. Think about that firm power handshake, or a boss putting a hand on a junior employee's shoulder. It can be a subtle but clear signal of status.
So we're definitely seeing some patterns emerge here. But, and this is a really big but, we have to remember these are just tendencies. They're shaped by culture and how we're raised. They are absolutely not rigid biological rules that apply to every single person. Let's just quickly recap it. On average, women tend to smile more, hold eye contact longer to build rapport, take up less space, and use touch to connect. Men, on the other hand, tend to smile less, use eye contact to assert a point, take up more space, and sometimes use touch to signal authority. Again, broad strokes. But man, they explain so many of the little miscommunications we run into every day.
And that's really the whole point. This isn't about locking people into stereotypes. It's the total opposite. It's about understanding that we might be speaking slightly different nonverbal dialects. And when you get that, you can stop misinterpreting signals and start becoming a much better and much more empathetic communicator.
So that's the theory. But how do we actually get better at this? How do we go from just letting our body do its own thing to becoming truly conscious communicators? Well, it really just boils down to 3 simple steps. First, just observe, and don't get hung up on one single gesture. Look for clusters. One crossed arm doesn't mean much, but crossed arms, plus a tight jaw, plus tapping a foot, okay, now that's telling a story. Second, interpret generously. Give people the benefit of the doubt. Before you decide their crossed arms mean they hate your idea, just consider maybe the room is just cold. And finally, communicate mindfully. Turn the camera on yourself. Think about the message you want to send and ask if your body is helping you send it. So, as we wrap up, just take a second, right now. How are you sitting? Are you leaning forward, engaged? Or leaning back, a little skeptical? Are your arms open or crossed? Your body is having a conversation right this moment. The only question is, are you finally ready to listen?